Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I want to show you how to make the very popular Ayamase stew. It's also known as pepper stew or the Ofada rice stew. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to all the ingredients that you're going to be needing for this recipe. So first and foremost, of course, you're making a pepper stew. So the pepper is going to be more of the paste that you're going to use for the stew. So here I have two batches of pepper. This one is the same scotch bonnet pepper, but it is blended into a puree. Add the scotch bonnet pepper, the atarado, and the chobo all blended together. So this is what we have here, and then I have a roughly chopped scotch bonnet pepper. This is because I wanted to see how that flaky pepper strips in it, so it doesn't just look all soft and smooth. So you're still going to be able to feel the peppers inside in form of the flakes. Then as part of the purees for this, I'm using a dried tomato puree. Now this is going to help it give it that color that the Ayamase stew often has. And then of course I am going to be needing some eggs. This is hard-boiled egg and peeled. So we're going to be using this for this recipe as well, because putting them inside the stew and then allow it to absorb all that juice, giving the pepper a wonderful taste. And of course, I'm using a mix of beef, kpomo, and cowhead for this. Oftentimes, I do use livers and like those roundabouts, the intestine of the cow or goat. But for this one, I'm using just the kpomo. I'm using the beef and I'm using the cowhead for this. And of course, you need plenty onion, sliced or roughly chopped. And then I'm going to be using this iru, a lot of it. This really gives you that taste that you want to get from your Ayamase stew. And then of course I'm going to be using my mixed up. And of course the oil I'm going to be using for this stew is going to be my red oil. It's going to be the base, so it's going to be lightly bleached, and then I'm going to combine it with my groundnut oil as well. So these are the basic ingredients I'm going to be using for this recipe. So stay tuned and watch the end so you see how this stew is made. It's really a nice stew that you want to learn, because it's going to increase your wife materialness or husband materialness. So you guys, let's get started with the video. So first you want to set a clean pot on fire. You turn on the heat. Can I have some salt? Then in the pot, I'm going to add the red oil. Put the oil in the pot and then add some salt. I'm going to let this sit open in this heat for the next 5 minutes. Now, when I let it sit in the heat for the next 5 minutes, what it's going to do is that the oil is going to be slightly bleached, and that is going to form the basis for the flavor that I want this to have. So that's why we use red oil. It's a local sauce, and red oil plays a major role in making our local sauces. Now, when you are bleaching your oil, make sure all the windows are open, because you don't want to suffocate. If the oil is ready, using a skewer, you check and see if it's properly bleached. If the color is just like this, that means the oil is properly bleached. And once it's bleached, you can then go in with the onion. Now we have to change the pot we started with, because the pot gets hot easily. So we have to switch to this pot. That pot almost burnt our house. Fry the onion until it's dried, and then the pepper mixture will come in next. I got to put my groundnut oil initially because this red oil wouldn't be enough to fry all the space. I'm just going to add the groundnut oil and then continue with my cooking. So this is just how it should be. The next thing that goes is going to be the pepper mix. We're going to fry this pepper mix until it is very dried and all the juice is dried up. get to this stage, it is nicely fried, and then we go in with the pepper flakes. Just give this a good stir to combine. Fry for a while, and then introduce the dried tomato puree. Now, this dried tomatoes has a very good advantage because it does not really have that sour taste that the fresh tomato do have, so, and it does not really take time to fry. So I'm still going to fry this until the moisture is all dried up again, and which doesn't really take time. So while this is frying, we are going to season the stew with the seasonings that we're going to be using for the recipe. For the seasoning, I'm using some curry powder, rosemary. I didn't use curry meantime on this, and that's because I don't want it to influence the flavor of the stew. Then I just used a pack of seasoning powder. You don't have to do a lot of seasoning on this, a lot of spices, because the taste will be all over the place. It's all fried, everything is well fried, and then we go in with iru. This iru is a star of the day. It is very, very necessary you put this in the pepper stew and you're making it. It elevates the taste to a whole new level, and it's super rich and packed with phytonutrients, so you don't want to miss it. Go in with the meats we are using for this. Just pour everything in and then mix it up all together. And I went in with the meat stock. For this meat stock, I'm using the chicken stock I had left in my freezer. You can do with a beef stock if you have one. Then cover this to simmer for about 3 minutes. Now I add egg into the stew, hard-boiled eggs. And what I do to make sure that the egg tastes so good is that I take a toothpick and I puncture holes on the egg. And this way, the egg absorbs a lot of that juice from the stew, and it tastes really delicious when you get to consume it. So after the puncture, when just put everything inside the stew, and then make sure that it goes down into the stew so that you can absorb all that juice. And I cover it to simmer for another 2 minutes. Now what happens is that this simmers, and the more the egg stays in the stew after cooking, the more it absorbs those juice, and the better it is. So oftentimes I don't really eat the egg the first few hours I make the stew. I leave them there for hours, and then guys, it is always like a heavenly taste when you get to eat the egg after it has soaked overnight. So guys, our food is ready. Please, if you watch this video to this extent, please give the video a thumbs up. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know how tasty and how spicy you like your stews. And let me know if you are going to try this recipe. And please hit the subscribe button. Give me the motivation to keep making those videos. You guys are just going to serve this up. You can serve the stew with rice. You can serve it with your yam. You can serve it with, you can use them as dip for your fries. It's so good, guys. Like, it's so good. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you in my next video.